And for more on this, let's bring in CTV's Jeremie Charron live for us in Ottawa. Good morning, Jeremie. What have we been hearing from leaders across the country since the announcement?
Yeah, Renee, look, a lot of reactions so far, especially from premiers, of course, whose provinces will benefit from some of these projects. And in reaction really across the board, premiers are, for the most part, welcoming of these projects, of course. BC's Premier David Eby welcoming the idea that there are several BC projects now that have been referred to the Major Projects Office. Of course, it's important to point out as well, from the initial 5 that were put forward to the Major Projects Office, and now these additional 6 projects, none have so far been given the official designation of a nation-building project. They are still with the office and being reviewed by the office. None have been, definitively approved or given that stamp, the Major Projects Office stamp of approval, if you will. But premiers across the board have been, of course, welcoming of this, including BC Premier David Eby, who has projects on this latest list. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, of course, was reacting to this news. And the biggest reaction kind of across the board was that there was no pipeline project as part of this list. We know that Alberta and Premier Smith have been in talks with the federal government about making some changes to certain regulations that exist, laws that exist, that the Premier believes is hurting the ability to move forward with a pipeline project and stopping proponents from being attracted to building a pipeline project. And so the Premier makes it clear that she is still in talks with the federal government here in Ottawa about the potential of removing some of those restrictions, as well as ultimately the goal of building a bitumen pipeline from Alberta to BC's north coast to be able to push oil, Canada's crude oil, to Asian markets. That is ultimately the goal, and the Premier makes it clear that there are still talks ongoing with Ottawa. She expects an answer from the federal government in the coming days. The Prime Minister yesterday was asked about that as well, and said that he looks forward to continuing conversations that he said he believes are going well. He said he looks forward to continuing those conversations in the weeks ahead. And so no exact word yet on a pipeline project. Other premiers also, Renee, supportive. Premier Ford in Ontario has a project on this list. Welcome the idea of being able to streamline some of the approval processes for the Crawford project in Ontario. Across the board, premiers who have projects on this list, of course, are welcoming of this idea. The idea really is that these are all projects that are already pretty far in terms of getting these projects done, in terms of having already started a lot of this processes. The idea is that getting them or referring them to the Major Projects Office will help with some of the approvals, the approval processes, and streamlining those and making sure that they happen faster.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. CTV's Jeremie Charron live for us in Ottawa. Thanks for this, Jeremie.